The youngins are back in school. Very, very exciting. I don't have any children, so that actually doesn't mean anything to me. I never did want children. You know, I've never wanted kids. I have no paternal instinct whatsoever. I really don't. It's funny too, because you know, when I was, I hope I'm not oversharing. This feels very self-indulgent, but we'll get to something. I just saw something really fascinating to me just pop up on the Mediaite website. I remember like being a teenager and saying, you know, I don't think I ever want children. And of course, adults, people older than me would kind of laugh and say, well, Matt, of course you think that now. You're not supposed to want kids now. You'll change your mind as you get older. I never did change my mind. I mean, it just seems like a lot of work to me. Like you got to pay for stuff and take care of them and feed them and then the whole thing with the diapers and oh my goodness, horrifying. And I don't know how anyone affords it, to be honest with you. But God bless you if you're a mom or dad. I just and God bless my mom and dad, because without them, you know, I wouldn't be here. I mean, if I ever win some sort of an award or something, I'll probably even have to thank them. That's how much I realize, you know, they've been integral in my, well, existence. So why am I talking about this? I will tell you this. I have never been formally diagnosed with ADD, but I think we all know I have it. So that might be why. I got to focus. Oh, you know what I wanted to say about Alex Jones? Last week on the show, there was that weird thing. And you all know about it because you all were listening. Because I know you all listen every scintillating second of the program. And I appreciate that. No, last week there was this thing about Alex Jones where, because, you know, he's been deplatformed, right? He got kicked off all the social media. He got kicked off YouTube and whatnot. So it's like now you have to go directly to his website to get your Alex Jones fix. But there was that weird thing last week where YouTube unbanned him for like a day or something and then just rebanned him. And it was very, very odd. We'll get to the bottom of it. No, I mean, we won't really. It's not like I'm going to launch some sort of investigation into this, try to figure out what happened. I don't care that much. And I'm kind of lazy. What I just saw on Mediaite pop up, and this is not from The Onion. This is real. And I love stories that sound like they're from The Onion when they're actually real. MSNBC host asks mind-blowing question. When Mike Pence is with both his wife and mom, who does he call mother? I have not pre-read this. I don't know the context of this, but I'm fascinated. I've always been oddly fascinated by that. I remember when I was a kid, my stepfather, Greg, my mother's second husband, I remember spending summers in Dixon, Illinois with my mom and Greg's family. Dixon, Illinois, if you're not familiar with Dixon, Illinois, it's a very, very small town, but they have a giant arch, almost as big as the St. Louis Arch when you enter Dixon, Illinois. The reason being, Dixon, Illinois is this is 100% true. This is not to be funny. This is true. Dixon, Illinois is the birthplace of Ronald Wilson Reagan. Do you remember Reagan? He's the conservative Republican president that conservatives worshipped at the altar of before, of course, the most godly president ever, Donald John Trump, came along. And now, of course, Reagan is all but forgotten. But Ronald Reagan, for those who remember, was at one time the patron saint of conservatism. Anyway, so they're very, very proud of this in Dixon, Illinois. And so there's a giant arch in Dixon. So Greg's parents, my step-grandparents, or my mom and Greg are divorced now, so I guess they're my ex-step-grandparents. Or were. They may be dead. I remember noticing that my step-grandfather would call my step-grandmother mother. And I must tell you, I didn't quite know what to make of it. I didn't know if it was a Midwestern thing. I've never seen that in this part of the country. So I don't know if geography plays a role in that or not. If it's a Midwestern thing, if it's a other part of the country thing, just, just not on the coast, but, in flyover country. No offense. I just don't know how else to put it. I don't know. I've never seen that in the Northeast. Maybe it happens here. But I remember the first time I saw and heard it happen, I thought it was a fluke. I thought I had misunderstood something. And I might have even wondered, wait a minute. Have I been confused? Is that not his wife, but actually his mother? I didn't know. Now, and please don't judge me too harshly. I was just a wee lad, a young urchin. Because my parents split up at a really young age, and then everybody remarried. So I was pretty young, but it was a little confusing to me and a little weird. Now, again, I mean no offense to anyone who might be listening who, maybe you're an older person and you call your wife mother. If you do that, I have to tell you, I'm a little creeped out by it. I don't understand it, and I think it's weird. And I kind of wonder what's wrong with you that would make you want to call your wife mother. But I mean no offense. I mean, look, that's your deal. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe in your family, that's just what you do. Who am I to judge? I'm no one. I mean, I'm not in any position to judge. You know what? Not only have I never had children of my own, I've never been married either. Maybe if I were married, I would call my wife mother. I don't think I would. I think that'd be pretty weird. I'd feel a little creepy. I mean, it sounds, well, frankly, it seems a bit Oedipal, if you know what I'm saying. Why would you do that? So, now, Mike Pence, of course, apparently he calls his wife mother. Mike Pence, not from Illinois, but he is from Indiana, right next door. Also the Midwest. So maybe it's a Midwestern thing. I don't know. But apparently, someone at MSNBC got a little curious because I never asked either. Like when I was a kid, because you got to understand too, I wasn't like you see these kids now. I'll tell you, there's no introverts running around. Kids now will just say anything. When I was growing up, children were to be seen and not heard. No, I'm kidding. No one ever treated me that way. No, I was always encouraged to express myself. I was just very, very shy. I was a little introvert growing up. So I never would have had the nerve to actually speak up and say, excuse me, Grandpa, why do you call Grandma mother? 'Cause I'm from New England and I don't get it. And I'm a little bit creeped out and I don't understand. So, but anyway, maybe it's a Midwestern thing. I don't know. But somebody did ask. So it says here, again, this is from Mediaite. MSNBC host Stephanie Rule evoked a perplexing conundrum when she mocked Vice President Mike Pence by asking how he decides which woman he should refer to as mother when traveling with both Second Lady Karen Pence and second mom Nancy Pence. On Tuesday morning's edition of MSNBC Live with Stephanie Rule, the Washington Post's Phil Rucker noted that Pence's decision to stay at a Trump property in Ireland was not normal. Rucker said, quote, "This is an official government trip, although its staff has indicated that the Pence family is paying for the family members who are doing this travel. He's traveling with his mother and with his wife, the second lady, Karen Pence, but it's strange. I mean, a lot of his official meetings are in Dublin. That is not where he is staying. Dublin is a big city. Certainly they have hotels that could accommodate the vice presidential delegation, but instead they're staying at the Trump Golf Resort." And then Stephanie Rule said, quote, "It's also confusing if he's traveling with his mom. Which one does he call mother?" Unquote. Oh, Stephanie Rule. Although Pence's former spokesman has said he does not recall Pence using the maternal moniker on his wife, multiple named sources and witnesses have confirmed that he does. Pence also famously refuses to dine with a woman if his wife is not present. Rule's question also raises a mystifying variation of the omnipotence paradox. Can God create a nickname for his wife so creepy that even he won't use it? That is funny. That's probably not funny to some of you. It's funny to me. And the thing about that other thing too, I mean, he won't dine with a female if his wife is not present. That is an interesting thing. There was a politician, a Republican in the South, I know, where else would this happen, who, I don't remember the name, I don't remember any of the names involved, but it caused kind of a stir because he wouldn't even meet with the journalist privately to answer questions because the journalist was a female. And he apparently feels, for religious reasons, that he must not be alone with a female who is not his wife, or something like that. It is interesting. I'm not, by the way, look, the calling wife mother thing to me is weird, but whatever. The not being alone with a female if you're married thing is, I mean, that's weird too, in the sense that, you know, look, if you, I mean, what are you worried about? Are you so worried that, are you really that worried that you're just going to lose control and make a pass at somebody? So it's that whole lead me not into temptation thing. I mean, it just seems so impractical, but I don't know. I mean, part of it just seems just so strange. And then there's a part of me that almost admires it in a way. I mean, but it's, I mean, the discipline involved in that. But then there's a part of me that thinks, isn't that kind of sexist though? Because you're, you know, if you're in a, well, look, if you want to treat men and women as equal, as professionals, isn't there something sexist about saying, well, 50% of these people I can't be alone with, and not because of anything they've done, but because I'm afraid of what could happen, because I might be tempted to, I don't know. It's weird. Rocky Huber in the Facebook live chat says, "It happened to me when my daughter was born. I would call my wife by her first name. So that's what my daughter started calling her instead of mom when she was first learning. But once she understood the difference, I stopped calling her mom." Oh, I get it. I see what you're saying, Rocky. So, no, that makes perfect sense, though. That's perfectly logical. There's nothing creepy about that. So just to clarify for anyone who didn't understand, because it took me a second to get what he meant, but I get it now. So, in other words, so that his daughter would learn to call, you know, her mother mom, Rocky would call her mom to get her daughter to call her mom instead of calling her by her first name. No, I totally get that. That makes perfect sense. You know, Michael Albers says, liberals, We need to do something about gun violence. Conservatives, guns don't kill people, people kill people. We need to keep guns out of hands of mentally unstable people. Liberals, great. Let's have universal health care so everyone can get mental health care. Conservatives, don't mess with my doctor. Don't mess with who my doctor is. And why should I have to pay for someone else? It's a great observation, Michael. Candace Johnson says, dads call their wives mom all the time because of kids. Yeah, no, I get that. And I get that, Candace. And that's what Rocky Huber is saying. I get that. But then why when there's no reason to? You know what I mean? Like when my stepfather's father would call his wife mother, there just seemed to be no reason to, unless it just becomes habit. Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. I mean, maybe Rocky and Candace have helped figure this out. Maybe that's what that's from. And it becomes habit. It's still weird to me, though. It's still odd to me. Like, again, like Rocky, the example you were using, that makes perfect logical sense to me. In the short term. But like you said, once your daughter was old enough and got it, you went back to calling her by her actual name, not mom. I mean, Candace says, not to me. What's not to you? It's not weird to you? That's a little weird to me, Candace. I don't know. I mean, there are certain, I'm not even going to go there. There's just certain instances where it would be really, really, really weird is what I'm saying. But I had, because I mentioned earlier about how I had a really odd thing happen. Can't believe I'm going to talk about this on the air, but it kind of relates to this. It does relate to this. So in terms of what to call people in a family situation, I mentioned earlier that my parents divorced when I was very young. I was very young. I was like maybe 6 years old. But everybody, don't shed any tears. I mean, everybody remarried, and I just kind of ended up with a larger family because both my parents remarried relatively soon afterwards. So it actually worked out okay. I had a pretty good, normal childhood. So it's not a sob story. I don't want to mislead anybody. But my parents did split up when I was really young. But a weird thing that happened, so my dad got custody of me, got primary custody, which at that time was kind of unusual. It's a lot less unusual now. But at that time, it was much more common for the mother to get custody. But my dad got custody. He fought for custody. And so per the custody agreement, because my mom ended up moving back to Illinois. Like I said, she was living in Dixon for a while with Greg. So I would spend the summers out there. I would be here for the school year, and then I would spend the summers in Chicago. Eventually, because, she moved from Dixon back to Chicago. Anyway, because they ended up getting divorced. And then my mom got married to a third person. My mom's on her fourth marriage. It doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. Here's what matters. So my dad, on his second marriage, he was married to this woman named Debbie. Now, I'm using real names. I don't care. She's never going to hear this. Trust me, she doesn't care about anything I do, let alone this show. So she lives in New York State. I haven't seen her in decades. Don't care to. We got along really, really well early on, my stepmother and I. Toward the end, not so much. But anyway, so I would call Debbie by her name. I would call her Debbie because she wasn't my mother. She was my stepmother. So I would call my mother Mom, and I would call Debbie Debbie or Deb. We got along really well for a long time. So much so I got very comfortable with her. I thought of her like a second mother, and I would call her Deb. And I loved her like my mom, I mean, not exactly like my mom because, you only have one mom, but But there was a very weird thing that happened where at a certain point, my dad and Debbie sat down with me. I will never forget this moment. They sat down with me and had a talk with me. And they were very gentle about this, what they were presenting. It wasn't a hard sell. They weren't telling me that I had to do anything. They were asking me to please try to do this. They sat down. Debbie didn't say a word, I don't think, during the entire conversation. But looking back on it, I do think it was her idea. My father said to me, we've been talking about this, Maddie. He called me Maddie. He still does. And we think it would be nice if you would call Debbie Mom. Because for all intents and purposes, you know, she's your mother. I mean, you have a mother, but she's in another part of the country. But when you're here, Debbie is your mother. And we think that, you know, this is our family. And, you know, we know you love Debbie, and, you know, you should call her Mom. And this isn't something that we're telling you that you have to do. And my dad, to his credit, he did say, this isn't something we're telling you that you have to do. It's not a direction. It's not an instruction. But we would like it if you could do this. And by the way, we're also kind of hoping you could let this whole Michael Flynn thing go. I'm kidding about that part. Obviously, this was decades earlier. That was a joke. No, the Michael Flynn thing. But he did say, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. But he did say, you know, we would like it if you could do this. And I've never forgotten this moment as long as I live, because I look back on that moment today and I just think, wow, that was really out of line. He should not have asked me to do that. I don't know what any of you think, or if any of you care about this, but I just thought of it because as we're talking about what we call people in families, my dad, look, I love my dad, and my dad was, I would say, on balance, a very good father. So I don't want anyone to take anything wrong, like I'm sitting here trashing my dad, or, you know, no parent is perfect, right? And everybody, no matter how great your parents may have been, everybody can look back on their childhood and think, you know, I think mom or dad or both, I think they kind of screwed that up. They kind of made the wrong call in that instance. You know, I kind of thought so then, and looking back on it as an adult, yeah, I was right. Man, my dad was, that's like one for me that there's very few of those things, by the way. I think my dad was a great dad. I feel fortunate to have grown up as his son, but that was not cool. Again, he was very easy about it. He was nice about it. Didn't tell me I had to do it, which is good, but it never should have been brought up to me. It just shouldn't have been. And I was still very young. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, if even that. And they're sitting down and having this talk with me. I didn't like it. And, you know, I was pretty precocious for my age. So even at that age, I was able to process this as it's happening in real time. I remember sitting there thinking, this is entirely inappropriate. This is not okay. He should not be asking me to do this. If I'm going to call her mom, that should be something that happens naturally and organically, because I just feel over time like calling her mom. But I already have a mother, and that's who I call mom. So on a couple of different levels, this isn't okay, and I should not be asked to do this. So knowing that, my response to all of this was kind of, I did the old, and I still do this as an adult sometimes, and I'm not saying this is a great way to approach anything. But if I'm in that, if I'm in that sort of weird place where someone's saying something to me and I almost, again, when it comes to personal stuff, I don't mean in business or anything, but when it comes to personal stuff, when somebody's saying something to me and I almost just don't even get where this is coming from or why they're saying this, or I'm having trouble understanding like the dynamic of what's going on here, I kind of do that, yeah, sure, whatever kind of thing, right? And that's basically what I did to my dad and Debbie, because she was sitting there too, silent. I was kind of like, when my dad's like, yeah, if you could just try, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. You're telling me I have to try? Okay, I can pretend to try, right? You can't prove I'm not trying. I can pretend I'm making every effort in the world to force the word mom out of my mouth while talking to this woman who is not my mother. But I'm not really going to do it. I'm going to continue to call her Debbie because that's who she is. And it doesn't mean I love her any less because I'm calling her by her actual damn name. But that's who she is. She's Debbie. I didn't come popping out of her womb. She ain't my mom. Sorry, buddy. Deal with it. That's what I was thinking. I would never have had the nerve to say any of that. So I didn't agree to it. I was very careful to not say, yes, I'll do that. I was just kind of shrugging like, yeah, okay. I'll try, I guess, whatever. Knowing that, no, I was never, ever going to do that. And I never did. And I never did. But you know what's funny? Here's the irony of that is there were moments where I almost did call her that organically and naturally, because like I said, I did love her like she was, like she almost was my mother. But after that conversation, I was like, forget it. I'm never calling her mom. And I was defiant about it. And then, of course, later on, as I got to be a teenager and so forth, I began to realize what a lunatic she was. So it's all just as well. And I've not seen her in many, many decades, but we are joined in the studio here. We have a visitor.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's me.
Well, I didn't know.
Paul Cormier.
Okay, I was asking because you were talking a little different there.
Well, I'm working on doing something new here.
I didn't know if you were like a character.
It sounded like me with a Brooklyn accent, so I didn't want to do that.
I like because I like the spontaneity, so I don't want to accidentally, because I made a mistake once where someone was calling on the phone as a character, and I was like, but I didn't know they were doing a character at first.
And you introduced them as themselves?
And I introduced them, and then they had to correct me, and it was awkward. But we recovered from it,
Oh,
we got right back on track, but it was awkward. Paul, do you ever...
This mic's falling apart.
It's a little droopy there.
Yes. Do I ever what, Matt? I'm sorry.
So, have you ever known someone who, or witnessed someone, probably of an older generation, if you have seen this, call his wife mother?
Yes.
You have seen that?
I've seen that. A lot on, not in, maybe once or twice in real life, but mostly on TV. I'm a huge MASH fan, as you know.
Yes.
The TV show MASH.
Yes, I was as well growing up. Yes.
And Colonel Potter calls his wife mother.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So
yes.
I think it's an old school thing from way back at the beginning of the 20th century going into the mid 20th century type of thing.
Well, apparently, Vice President Mike Pence, he's not president yet. Vice President Mike Pence
and douchebags.
Calls his wife mother. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well,
yeah. So, a couple listeners in the Facebook live chat and I think we've come up with a theory that the reason this may happen is because when a couple has a child and the father is trying to get the child to call the mother mom or mother or something rather than calling them their first name, so they fall into the habit of referring to the wife or calling the wife mother or something or mama or whatever instead of by their first name, and then it just becomes a habit.
I think you're reading into it too much. You
think so?
Yeah, I think that it is just a term of endearment that a husband is calling a wife by the title of what she is in the family, but he's saying it as a term of endearment at the time. That's how at least I read it with Colonel Potter, using him as an example, if we may.
Yes.
When he's referring to her or speaking to her on the phone, he calls her mother, and based on their background of the fictional characters, they're very much in love with each other.
Yes.
They have a sweet, loving relationship. They have a lot of kids, and she's mother. She's mother, and that is her title of their family. You know, she's the mother of their kids, and she's probably a good mom, you know, based on the character Colonel Potter and what he says about her and how he gloats about her.
Yes.
So that's just, she's mother. That's all. The mother of the family.
Now, I have to admit, taking that into consideration, because as you know, I've seen every episode of MASH many times, it all suddenly seems less creepy.
Yeah.
When you bring Colonel Potter into it, it all seems not creepy to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how you look at it. I don't think that, and I can see how one would interpret it as being creepy, calling your wife mother.
Yes.
But it's not, I don't think it's that. I think you're just calling the woman that you love mother because you guys have kids, and you're just calling her mother.
But there are certain scenarios where
if you guys didn't have kids and you were calling her mother, that would probably be a little bit on the creepy side.
Right.
Like, I don't go around calling my girlfriend mother. I never called my ex-wife mother.
Right.
If you guys were married and didn't have any children and you were calling her mother, that is a little weird.
Right.
There'd be no reason to call her mother.
Right, right.
Unless she had kids from a previous marriage and
even then, that would be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, anyway.
No.
I hear what you're saying, but mother.
I know what song I'm going to close with today.
Speaking of that, if it's the song I think.
Yeah, it probably is.
When my mom passed away, during the funeral procession from the church to the graveyard, Mother by Pink Floyd came on the radio.
Oh, that's not the song I'm thinking of.
Oh, what song are you playing?
I don't want to say. You'll all find out together.
Okay. Does it have the word mother in it?
It sure does. Mother. You know the song. You know the song. A little gem from the early 1990s.
You see, now you get me all wondering. And
you still don't know, even with me just mangling the melody there? I can't remember the rest of the lyrics.
Maybe Virtual H knows who that is. Virtual John, do you know who that was?
Oh, he definitely won't know. Because he stopped listening to music in 1991.
Oh, really?
That's when he decided he was done with music. The last album he bought, this is true, the last album he bought was the Immaculate Collection from Madonna. And that was it. He decided that was all the music he'll ever need. You know? And who can blame him?
Well, after that album,
right?
Who wouldn't stop listening to music?
Yep. So he just stopped.
I wonder if he bought that big book that came along with that album that had the big stainless steel cover. Remember that book by Madonna?
Yeah, I do.
I have to admit, I bought it.
You did?
I did. I used that book many times, Matt.
What did you use it for? What was in it?
A lot of provocative pictures, man.
Well, Isn't she in the nude?
She might be.
She's
got very sexy pictures in that book with Vanilla Ice. That's why I bought it.
I don't think Vice President Pence would approve of that.
No. She was one sexy mother in that book.
Wow. So would you read the book and call her mother?
No. In fact, you know what? The book itself was just a bunch of stupid big photos and dumb quotations. And it was dumb. It was essentially a book that I got talked into to buy because it was a collector's a collector's thing, because of the fact that it was like the cover was a big hunk of stainless steel. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
And the back cover was the same way.
Yeah.
And in 1991, I was on my second year of being a DJ.
Yeah.
Nightclub DJ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to get one of these. Everybody's buying one of these. Everybody I hung out with in music bought one of these.
Right.
So I bought one of them too. And it never left the packaging. I never opened it.
Yeah.
I never opened like the cellophane seal that it came in.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't even know where it went. I think my ex-wife has it.
Oh, no kidding.
But I saw the inside because I had a friend who opened it, my gay friend Colin.
Yes.
And he bought it, and it was just a book full of stupid, big, high glossy photos of Madonna being Madonna.
Yeah.
And there are some photos with her being really provocative with Vanilla Ice.
Wow.
Yes.
And what about Warren Beatty? Is there any picture? Because wasn't she dating him at the time?
I don't think I remember seeing. Yes, I remember that because they did the Dick Tracy video. And, movie. But I can't recall. I don't know. I just thumbed through it a couple of times. I don't remember that book too.
Thumbed through it.
Yes, I thumbed through it.
Wow. Hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hi, Dr. Jeff. Your fly's down.
Oh, my goodness. How do you know that?
No, that's just one day he was in the studio. And his
fly
was down.
Oh, I see. Well, he's probably put it up by now, I would think.
I would imagine so.
Stefan says, wow, Pauly C's voice sounds so warm and smooth.
Well, thank you.
You do have a great voice, Paul Cormier.
Thanks.
Stefan says, you need him to come in as a guest when you do another smooth jazz episode. You like the smooth jazz, don't you, Paul?
I love it. Little George Benson while you're drawing a bath.
Well, oh my goodness. Isn't there a picture in that book of Madonna drawing a bath listening to George Benson?
I think so.
Or is it, no. Oh, no, I remember now. She's drawing a bath and George Benson is in the bathtub.
Right.
Yes.
Drawing her.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's
got a sketch pad, couple of pens.
Right. It was very, very sexy. What an amazing, we're almost out of time already.
We are? Yeah. Well, I did get here late.
I ran into you on the way here, of course.
I did.
I had no time to stop and talk because I try to get here by 3:30 at the latest, and I was just running terribly late. Most of the time, I have pretty good time management skills, but I falter on occasion, and today, I was hustling.
Good.
I was on the move.
You looked like you had a little OJ thing going on. Remember OJ's commercials?
I had actually just murdered someone, yes.
Yes. Wow.
Well, that's part of why I was in such a hurry.
I'm talking about the OJ like 10 years before that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When he was running through the airport with the briefcase.
Oh, like you mean commercial OJ, not murdering OJ.
Right, when he was jumping over waiting room areas in
that
the
OJ.
airport.
Yes.
Not jumping over corpses.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. I didn't really, the murdering thing. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. You actually admitted to murdering somebody on the air.
I was kidding, of course. I didn't really kill anybody. It's a joke. My ex-wife and her boyfriend Waiter are still very much alive.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Even though you never really liked them.
Never did.
Yeah. Never do. Never do. Not never did.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Yes. Hello to the Honorable Heidi Hamer.
Hi,
in the Facebook
Heidi.
live chat. She says, afternoon, kids.
Hi, Heidi.
For children.